The Crown's Burden.
Dear Princess Celestia, Twilight needs you. Starlight Glimmer returned, and we beat her, but she had to do something really bad to win. She's shut in her room and won't come out. Please hurry. Spike.
Princess Celestia canceled all of her appointments for the day as soon as she read that letter. All manner of situations ran through her head, and none of them were pleasant, but only a handful of them untenable. After informing Luna and her subordinates of her imminent absence, she left. Opting for a teleport over an intention-grabbing arrival by chariot, she appeared in the entrance hall of the Castle of Friendship. Nobody was around. She immediately made for the throne room, assuming that Twilight's friends would be there, and she was correct.
Princess Celestia!
Called out Spike, Twilight's draconic little brother. The rest of Twilight's friends immediately stood and made to bow, but Celestia held up a hoof.
None of that. I'm here as Twilight's mentor, not a princess. Now, will some pony please tell me what happened?
All of them immediately turned nervous, looking to each other for a volunteer. Celestia expected more willful ponies to speak, but it was Spike who filled the silence.
It was Starlight Glimmer,
he said.
She stole a time travel spell scroll of Star Swirls and changed it so that she could change the past. We ended up back during Rainbow Dash's first Sonic Rainboom, and no matter what we tried, Starlight would stop it so every pony wouldn't get their cutie marks. Each time we would get sent back to an Equestria where everything went wrong. Twilight, she tried her hardest. Starlight, she showed us why she hates cutie marks, and Twilight tried to get her to reason,
But she chose evil. And so Twilight made a decision,
Celestia said. Everyone hung their heads, but Spike nodded.
Yeah.
Where is she?
She's in her room, and she won't come out.
Celestia nodded.
Thank you, but I meant Starlight.
Spike cringed.
Oh, she's in the back.
Thank you, Spike.
She started to leave, but he interrupted her.
Twilight's not in trouble, is she?
Celestia turned and smiled at him.
No, Spike. I trust that Twilight only made this decision after considering every other alternative. I am simply just worrying about how she did it. Please put on a pot of Twilight's favorite tea. I'll be back shortly.
She left to inspect Starlight. She desperately wanted to see her former student, but it was imperative to determine exactly how the deed was done. It would serve as a guide for how exactly she would aid Twilight through her trying time. The air felt stuffy in the back storage room, but Celestia paid it no mind as she approached the sheet-covered body. She didn't hesitate, and took it off, inspecting her former subject. A single small burn mark on her hoof. Anyone unversed in lethal magics would wonder how this would have caused death, but Celestia knew better. A quick scan with her magic confirmed it.
Celery Mortis.
A spell as old as magic itself. Instant, painless death. Twilight had protested vehemently when Luna demanded that she learned it, saying that she would never need it. Celestia sighed. Another one of her students forced to take a life for the good of the realm. But she felt her worst fears alleviate. Twilight had used the most merciful spell possible. She studied Starlight's expression for a moment. The shock told her all that she needed to know. This one didn't expect the heroine to take such a final action, just like many before her. She replaced the sheet and stepped outside, returning to the throne room.
Spike, paper and a quill, please,
she said.
Is something wrong?
He asked, putting the tea set down and doing as he was told.
No, Spike, I just need to get the guard here. Twilight isn't in trouble, but there's a procedure to follow.
She quickly scratched out a message for her sister to come. Luna needed to head this, and Celestia was too close to Twilight to not have a conflict of interest. Once done, she sent the letter off and turned to the assembled group.
Under no circumstances are we to be interrupted. Understand? When my sister arrives, tell her that Twilight will make her statement when she's ready.
All of them nodded silently. She gave them a small smile and picked up the tea, heading upstairs. Twilight's door was locked and warded for war. With a calming breath, Celestia knocked 2 times, then 3, then 2. An old code that they used when they needed to speak to one another, no matter the circumstances. A few seconds went by, and nothing happened. She was about to try again when the wards disappeared, and the door unlocked with a click. Celestia entered silently, locking the door behind her. Twilight had her back to the door. She was staring at a display case, her crown setting within. As Celestia got closer, she saw the still fresh tears soaking Twilight's cheeks, and heard her unsteady breathing. She walked over and sat next to her, setting the tea down and pouring 2 cups, handing one over. Twilight took it silently, but did nothing else.
Drink.
Celestia gently ordered. Twilight did so, but continued to say nothing. The two sat there in silence for about half an hour, sipping at the tea and looking at Twilight's crown. Celestia was certain what was going through Twilight's mind and was just waiting for her to make the first move.
I'm sorry.
Twilight said, just barely audible.
Why?
Celestia asked, just as soft.
I
She started to choke up.
failed you!
Celestia set her tea down and pulled Twilight in with her wing, keeping it draped over her, just like they used to when she was but a filly.
Tell me what happened from your perspective. I tried to save her. I tried so hard to show her the magic of friendship, but she wouldn't listen. She just wanted revenge for us stopping her cult and her hatred of cutie marks.
She sniffed.
When she was little, she was hurt badly. She lost the only friend that she had and thought that cutie marks had caused it. I think when she heard my lecture on our cutie mark connection, she just snapped. She pulled us back in time to stop the rainbow, and every time we got sent back to the present, each was worse than the last. Each time, it was a villain that we stopped. Sombra, Chrysalis, Nightmare Moon, Tirek, Discord. In the end, we ended up in a wasteland. And she still wouldn't listen. Her hatred of cutie marks wouldn't let her see what she was doing to the world.
Twilight went silent after that, and Celestia waited patiently.
At the end, I thought I was getting through to her. She was about to tear the scroll in half and trap us there, but she stopped. She was listening, and I thought that she would finally see reason, but...
She could say no more, and broke down sobbing. Celestia quietly stroked her wing down Twilight's back, choosing to be a rock.
I'm sorry, Princess. I'm so sorry, but... I'm going to have to abdicate.
The case opened, and Twilight's crown began to float over to Celestia. Celestia had expected something like this.
Why, Twilight?
She shook her head.
I'm not worthy of being the Princess of Friendship. Not if I failed this badly at my duties.
Celestia eyed the crown for a moment before taking it and promptly setting it on Twilight's head.
Princess,
She asked.
Twilight Sparkle, at no point did you fail.
Celestia said.
But I killed some pony! I couldn't talk her down! I couldn't...
Celestia gently laid a feather over Twilight's mouth.
Twilight, the burden of the crown is many things. One of which is making sure that our subjects live in peace and harmony. But there's another aspect to it. A darker aspect. An unfortunate truth that any ruler must learn to accept. What?
Celestia smiled sadly.
That sometimes difficult decisions must be made. Not every pony can be reasoned with. Not every pony can be stopped without lethal force. We must seek all other alternatives, for all life is precious. However, we must be prepared to end it, if necessary. But I didn't! I could have stunned her, or hit her with a sleep spell, or I could have stayed in the past to help you!
Celestia nodded.
Those might have worked, but they might not have. We all have new ideas after we've made a difficult choice, believing them to be better. Hindsight, it's a cruel friend, always telling us what could have been, but it's something that we should listen to for the future, not dwell on the past with.
Twilight then looked down.
I don't know. I know, Twilight. I had the same dilemma the first time I had to take a life. Before, I swore to myself I would always rule justly, and that meant never taking a life, ever. But some pony took advantage of that and forced my hoof. It was, at the time, the most difficult decision I had to make. But I would make it again. For the good of the realm.
Twilight was silent for several minutes in silent contemplation.
Does it ever get any easier?
Celestia looked away for a moment.
Unfortunately, to an extent, it does. The first is always hardest on your heart, and you'll never forget it. The next time you're in a similar situation, you will remember that such actions are necessary when there is no other alternative, and act accordingly. But always allow yourself to feel the pain. Never numb yourself from it. Mourn those that pass by your hoof, for you must remember that they are victims themselves. No pony is born evil, Twilight. Villains are made by their life experiences. Always love your subjects. Always. Even the ones that must pass on, so the others may live. Especially them. I still feel like I failed you. Twilight Sparkle, you did everything but fail. You ended a threat to Equestria through lethal force, but you did so after pursuing every other alternative that you could think of at the time. You had an impossible choice forced upon you, yet you did not freeze, you did not stop, and you burdened yourself for the good of the realm. That is the mark of a true princess, to accept the realities of rulership and continue on despite your misgivings.
She pulled Twilight into a tight hug.
I couldn't be more proud of you even if I tried.
Twilight looked uncertain, but eventually, she nodded, reluctantly.
Okay. I don't like it, but...
She sighed.
What happens now? There will be an investigation, but I'm sure that circumstances will show that you were in the right. You have nothing to fear from the law. There will be a debacle in the newspapers, and your leadership will be praised or questioned, depending on who is speaking. Wild rumors will fly. You'll either be the next King Bullion or Sombra. While all this happens, you must maintain a clear head in public until this dies down, lest you make a scene and reinforce the fears against you. Starlight's family will almost assuredly try to sue the state, and you must be prepared to eventually appear in court. Here, at home, expect the populace to distance themselves from you for a while. Even in self-defense, ponies fear those that take lives.
Twilight looked down.
My friends must be terrified of me.
Celestia smiled.
They're right outside, waiting for you.
Twilight perked up at that.
Wait, really? Really? Would you like to see them?
A hesitant nod. Celestia turned her head and unlocked the door, opening it. Sure enough, 5 ponies and a dragon were waiting outside.
Can you stay?
Twilight asked, looking her in the eye for the first time. Celestia couldn't help herself but smile.
As long as you need.
As unfortunate as this is, and how most of us or all of us know, this correlates to real life quite well, and the facts of needing to take someone's life for the safety of others. It isn't ever pretty, and it's never something anyone should ever experience in their lifetime. But if you have to take one life to save many others, then you gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, let's get off of the sad shit, and let's go on to our very happy donators. Top donators: Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, J-Tin Man, Darkside, and Ponyman. CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Strix, Runescythe 9852, Dospo, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Secret Moon, Tall Russia, Sword Brethren Mordred, Cerberus, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David E. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Piercy, Alex F., Rainbow Dash, Teal K. Anderson, and John Becker. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.